How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about MULN and as well as for Polestar. We saw MULN did pull back to some key levels that we have spoken about on this channel. And we also have Polestar that's hitting 52-week lows. And many people want to know, is there going to be a continuation of this? Where do you see the market going for these stocks, especially going into tomorrow? So we're going to talk about that. But I also want to throw out the reminder, if you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description because I do value your time. I won't waste any more of your time. Let's get into those videos right now and I'll give you guys my final thoughts afterwards. So we're going to take a look at the chart from MULN. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at 63 cents, being up 3.02%. On the low, it tested 60 cents, and then on the high, testing 64 cents. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 76.893 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 72.974 million shares. So we had above average volume on the day, and you can see we did see some strength in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, you can see that we are trading below all of our major moving averages, which is bearish, and that is a 50 EMA to 21 EMA, and as well as for the 9 EMA. If you remember what I said in my previous video, I said that we were going to come down to fill in the gap right around 62 cents. We did exactly that, and we tested 60 cents on the day. So what the bulls want to know, are we going to be able to use this as support and MULN making a further move up? What you'd want to watch is the 9 EMA at 68 cents. Since it did see a high at 64, it is very doable for this to happen this week. So keep an eye on that 68 cent range. If we decide to have a pullback and we break through 60 cents, then the next area that we want to watch is right here at 52 cents, which is right at the 52-week low. Will we go straight down to 52? No. We could have some movements where we go down to 55, 56, and then visit that area. But from what I'm seeing so far, let's see if MULN could use 60 cents as support. And if the bulls get what they want, then we could see it go to 68 and then wanting to see if it can get to the 21 EMA. Keep in mind, it has been prior resistance in the past, as you can see here on August the 16th and the 15th. And as far as for the 9 EMA, the last time we were able to actually test it was on August the 22nd. So please keep that in mind. So if we get to this 9 EMA and there's sellers here, you don't need to be surprised about that. Let's see how the stock performs going into tomorrow. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information from MULN. So scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings for the 29th, we have Russell 2000 that purchased 107 shares. We also see Russell 2000 1.5x strategy fund class that purchased 33 shares. We also do see Ridex variable trust Russell 2000 that purchased 10 shares. We also have Vanguard that purchased just under 207,000 shares. Bridge Builder that purchased 3,125 shares. And then we have the Russell 2002X strategy that purchased 68 shares. And we have Vanguard Balanced Index Fund Investor shares that purchased 241,800 shares, and the others we have already covered. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 57.38%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 29.28 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 3.6 million, updated 17 minutes ago, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 18.92%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 26th, it is at 59.34, and then for the close of the 29th, being at 57.38. So it went down a little bit, and then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 15.24%, MULN does continue to have short squeeze potential. So we're going to take a look at the chart for Polestar. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $7.67, being down 4.36%. On the low, it tested $7.57, and then on the high, testing $8.13. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 2.393 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 1.474 million shares. So you can see we did have above average volume, but we had a pullback in the stock. When we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, it is looking bearish. It is trading below all of our major moving averages, which is a 50 EMA to 21 EMA, and as well as for the 9 EMA. And if you remember what I said from my previous video, we wanted to see support hold up at $8. So knowing that it broke right through 8 and now we have a 52-week low at 757, rejection, it could drop down even further. It's pretty much on an island of its own at this particular point. If you want to see some strength out of the play, we did see a high at $8.13. Inside of the after hours is trading at $7.75. So we can have a turnaround. You want to see that retest going back to $8. If we end up retesting $8 and then get rejected, then we will make a lower low and another 52-week low. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind. And that's where it could start sending this stock down to potentially testing right here around $7. So I'll be keeping that on very close watch if it decides to have a rejection. If it can break above that $8 level and gain some solid momentum, you want to see it get to at least a 9 EMA at $8.43, and then things get very interesting from there, and then waiting to see what it would do. But in my personal opinion, we do see this continuation of lower lows and as well as lower highs. This bearish move could easily continue. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for Polestar. So scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings we have here, we have for the 26th actually, we have First Trust Hedge Buy Right Income ETF that purchased 7,969 shares. We also have Defiance Next Gen SPAC Derived ETF that purchased 8,650 shares, and Berkshire Focus Fund that purchased 10 shares. And the rest we have already covered. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 52.19%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is at 486,374 shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 0, updated 19 minutes ago, and then for the short ball fee rate, it is at 151.89%. So that is really high. And even when we take a look at the max on the day, it is around the same number as well, or it is the same number I should be saying. And then when we take a look at the history of the short volume, you can see for the close of the 26th, it was at 56.18, and then for the close of the 29th, being at 52.19. So that is quite a decrease right there. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 7.26%, this still continues to be a consistent range for Polestar, but just taking a look at that short borrow fee, it definitely does have some short squeeze potential. So for my final thoughts for Polestar and as well as for MULN, we ended up filling in that gap at 62 cents like I talked about in my previous video. And then for today, we ended up testing right at 60 cents. So we do see, you know what, we have some support in those ranges, and we did have a strong bounce. But what we want to look for is a move to that 9 EMA. So we want to see MULN being able to get to 68 cents. Can it pull it off this week? Could it even get there going into tomorrow? We're going to have to wait and see, but that's what the bulls are looking for. If we end up breaking through 60 cents, remember, we do have the 52-week low that stands at 52 cents. So I'm not saying if we break through 60 cents, we're going to go straight down to 52. We could test 54, 55, and so on, but I just want to make sure that you add that to your homework. And as far as for the other levels, make sure you check out the chart portion of the video so you know what they are. And as far as Polestar is concerned, the fact that it made a 52-week low today is not surprising, but it's pretty much on an island of its own at this point. So since we don't really have too much confirmation of where this price could settle, it could pull back even more. So if it comes down to $7 for all of my investors out there, I would definitely give this stock some consideration. Make sure that you do your homework, because if it decides to pull back, you'll be confident enough to load up on the dip. Don't just go into the play because you watched the video and said, you know what, I need to buy into this right now. Get to know as much about the company as possible so you can load up on those dips and do it confidently. As far as for a reversal, I know the bulls are going to want to hear this. Polestar needs to go back and reclaim $8. And then upon reclaiming $8, it needs to make a move to at least around $8.48, see if it can get to $8.50 so we can make that move back to $9. Will it be able to pull this off this week? In my personal opinion, right now, it is definitely not looking good. We're seeing continuation of lower lows and as well as lower highs, so this is bearish. But one thing we have to take into consideration though, if we see a reversal inside of these markets, then there's a potential chance it could pick back up, or if we end up having a good catalyst, it can move. Because when we took a look at the short interest information, we can see that the short borrow fees are well at 150%. So anyone who is shorting Polestar, they're definitely paying a hefty fee. So taking that into consideration, this stock can move very quickly, especially if we get some above average volume coming into the play, aka looking for that buying pressure. So let's see how these plays perform going into tomorrow, but make sure you keep an eye on the overall market conditions. And as far as for these small caps, make sure you keep
IWM on your watch list, all right? Hope you found the video helpful, and we'll be talking real soon.